In this video, we will see how to use architectural plan for modeling in MIDAS nGen. Basically, the architectural plan can be used for tracing beam, column and wall members in MIDAS nGen. So for that, firstly we create tracing file. In the Structure tab, we will click on Create Tracing File. Then we will select any DWG or DXF file and click on Open. This file opens directly in MIDAS Drawing Software Solution. The default pop-up of this Tracing or Grid Editor dialog box is to assign layers for member tracing. We need to have different layers for different members already in our architectural plan. In case the layers are not set and there are some changes required in the architectural plan, then we can close this dialog box. And we can make changes here in MIDAS Drawing. MIDAS Drawing accepts all commands of AutoCAD. To use this modified file, we can type the command Edit Grid and press Enter. The same dialog box opens for us to assign layers, and we can start with the center line. The center line works for tracing beams. So we select the layer for center line and assign it here for the center line property. Column line is the layer for tracing column sections. So we select the column layer and assign it here. In the preview window, we are seeing all the assigned layers. This is what we will get in MIDAS nGen. Next, the wall line works for tracing walls with thickness. So I'll select the wall layers and assign it over here. To see the dimensions, we will put the dimension layer 0 here. If there are any grid bubbles, the layers can be assigned over here. The rest of the layers, parking lots and door locations, window locations, all those layer sets, they can be put under the undefined layer set. This will be used just for the display purpose. We can select all the layers and then unselect those which have been already used and assign it under the undefined set. That is it. Now we will close this dialog box by clicking on Save. And now further we can export our architectural plans to nGen. So we'll click on Export to nGen. Import DWG for Tracing dialog box pops up after we click on Export to nGen. We can access this particular dialog box from Tracing File Import as well. This would be useful when we already have our tracing files ready for tracing, and we can then click on this three-dotted box to open up that file. And the list will be over here, which can be further used for tracing by clicking on OK. The tracing file has been imported successfully. Now to trace these files, we need to assign them to a story. So firstly, we create story by clicking on Story Data. A story set is to be defined. This story set is useful for creating separate modules for a multi-towered building. We'll click on Add and click on OK. Then we will click on Add New Story. Let us create one story of 4 meters height and click on OK. Under the CAD drawing column, we will assign our architectural plans at different levels. For creating vertical members, the tracing file shall be at their bottom. For creating horizontal members, like beams and sub-beams, the tracing file shall be at the floor level. So I'll select now the architectural plans. We can also put these drawing files at a given distance from the floor level. We shall keep 0 and click on OK. There are 3 modes in MIDAS nGen: 3D, plane and story. The tracing can be performed in the story mode. We can go to different levels from here. Let us start at the base. To create members by tracing, we will go to the Member tab. Let us start with column member tracing. So we click on column. Then from here, we'll select the structural group. There are 2 predefined structural groups, one for substructure and one for superstructure. We can have both substructure and superstructure modeled in the same file. We can create different analysis cases for the analysis of substructure and superstructure, and also substructure with superstructure. Here we can select the module or story set. This is for selecting materials. With the help of these materials, the software will identify the member as a concrete member or steel member and perform steel or concrete design. Let us select concrete property. Here we can use the option by select to select the area under which the column layers are to be traced. And the software is now identifying all the column layer sets, and then we will click on apply and continue. By doing so, we see the columns generated. The section properties are automatically defined, and that can be seen over here in the model tree menu. We will press escape to go out of the column member command. One important part to be noticed in the tracing is the center line of the column. MIDAS nGen is smart enough to put the center line of the column at the intersection of the beam center lines and provide offset to the section property. This maintains the connectivity and accuracy of the analysis. Similarly, we can trace the subcolumn. Now let us see the tracing of walls. We will click here. We can select the member set, the story set, the analysis type. We will be selecting right now wall membrane type. Now to trace, firstly we will select over here what we want to create, wall or a reference line for the wall. So of course we are having wall to be traced. We select wall. Then we have got these 2 methods to detect the wall layer set. One is by selecting parallel lines and another one is by closed lines. When we use the parallel lines, that time we do not require our lines for the walls to be completely closed. For example, over here, these parallel lines, and the software is going to will also detect the distance between the 2 parallel lines for creating the thickness property. And then the height is already taken from the story definition, so all we need to do is click on apply and continue. Here we have the wall. When we use the select by closed lines, that time the software can detect only the lines that are closed. For example, over here, this is closed line wall layer set. So I'll click on apply and continue. And here we go. In MIDAS nGen, we can also create curved walls. For that, the centerline layer set would be useful. We can simply click on by arc 3 points, click on start point, end point and central point. There is no need to click on apply and continue. By default, the first ID of the thickness is applied to our wall. We can press escape from our keyboard, select the wall and either change the thickness property from here under the property menu, or we can simply use the drag and drop feature from the model tree menu. So this is how we have created wall members using tracing. Now let us see how to trace the beams. We will go to the next story level. Click on Beam. We can select the member set, story set. Section property is required to be selected for beam to be traced. So I'll select SB 400 by 600 with C3037 material property. When we have tracing, then we have two options, that is by select line segment and by select line. In case of segments, the program automatically divides the intersected lines, which are rather continuous in the AutoCAD file. This could be useful for different section properties for beams in line. We'll click on Apply and Continue. Second option, that is Select by Line, detects the continuous line under centerline layer. We will click on Apply and Continue and press Escape. We see here that even though the line was continuous, the program has divided the beam at support locations. In this way, we can use architectural plan for modeling beams, columns, and shear walls.